YouTube, good morning. Welcome to a new adventure, a new situation we're going to try. And it is just called The Morning Show. I have some coffee. I'm only going to do 15 minutes at a time. And I'm going to name the show whatever I think we talk about, so there's no script. There's a lot of preparation going on in my life. We're kind of out of control here. And I'm going to find some nice settings, and I'm going to get up at a good time where we can talk, or I can just talk. Maybe it's just good for me. God chose you. The choice wasn't obligatory, required, compulsory, forced, or compelled. He selected you because he wanted to. So it's going to be a couple things you have to remember. Big words I don't know. Compulsory. Let's read it one more time. God chose you. The choice wasn't obligatory, required, compulsory, forced, or compelled. He selected you because he wanted to. So that's a good thing. So what's going on out there? What's going on in America? What's going on at y'all's house? I hope this morning show finds you well. And my lips ain't chapped, but they are. I can feel it. So I'm looking at like little briefings and things. I see it's actually a briefing app, because there's a lot going on in the world, and I think we need God, honestly. Anyway, it's crazy out there. I'm just trying to find some sanity. Excuse me. So I'm drinking, we got a new Keurig the other day. I've shown this cup, and I love the Keurig. It's probably because I don't have a lot of things, and that's a highlight in my life. Coffee. Hey, I'm gonna mess with y'all today. A lot of people fighting against abortion or whatever. So in the news, here's something crazy. ABC anchor calls out Senator Marco Rubio over Chinese spy balloon. This happened 3 times under the previous president. What are these guys fighting about, man? It's always, I think they keep us against each other just to keep us against each other. But a lot of us don't realize that. Then we stay fighting over silly things that don't even matter. Like the spy balloon happening 3 times over under the previous president. So if that's the case, and if not the case, whatever the case, why didn't the anchor make mention of that back then? Because I always laugh at these things that they try to get us to argue about. Even certain, I know racism exists. I'm a black man. But there's some things I'm just like, I don't know if I have an interest in or if I can track it down or chase it down, or even whatever. I don't know. People come up with some of the oddest stuff. I see Tom Brady's retired, and Giselle feels empowered. Her potential to return to stardom never got destroyed. Like, this is news. This is news. Neo-Nazi leader among 2 arrested in plot to attack Baltimore's power grid, the feds say. What's going on with these guys? The Nazi thing, you know, the old ancient racist thoughts, ideas that another person is less than another person. That's such an ancient that's such an ancient theory. Like, that's such an ancient mindset. Like, sometimes I don't even get mad at if I go into a crowd and I'm like the only black person there or something, and then there's weird things happening. I feel bad for those people who still participate in racist activities and stuff like that, because it's kind of like this thing has been raging on, and it's just a mindset. Because even when I go to Walmart, right, I see grandparents with mixed babies on both sides, and it's just like, the world is changing, big homie. Like, what? After a while, we're not going to know what race is what race. But hey, what else can you do? What else can you do but laugh at these people? They are very funny. They're not funny. It's really sad. China built a hypersonic generator that could power unimaginable weapons. So who's the leader in technology? Is it China? Has it always been China? I don't know. Because we always mention China. Like, I always find that, and even in myself, if I'm always mentioning a person, what they're doing, what they're not doing, how they treated me, how they didn't treat me, why they did this, posted something on social media, why they are yada, 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 then I'm starting to wonder, what is wrong with me? My camera's saying more light is required. Then I have to ask myself, what's wrong with me? Why is this person so heavy on my mind? Is it because they're winning in my life? Is it because they're beating me? Is it because I'm jealous? What the heck is going on? I don't know. So it looks like I'm a photographer, and I keep getting these notifications, and it looks like Sigma has released a new 50mm f1.4, and they're announcing it and announcing it. It's almost like when you look at these companies, you have a hard time avoiding them and keeping up with them, and because they have the money, the means to just slam you with it, hit you with it, and keep bombarding you with it, like Burger King and McDonald's. And they just advertise it, and soda. And meanwhile, we know it's bad for you. We know we shouldn't buy it. We know we shouldn't use it, partake in it. But yet, here we are, eating Burger King Not all of us. At the moment's notice because we're too lazy to cook, but yet the food is bad. Then we do it tomorrow, the next day, the next day, the next day, the next day. So I gotta practice looking at this camera. This is the morning show. Hey, here's something interesting. We finally found something interesting. I was just scrolling through here and used the 30-90 rule to take the perfect nap. Let's see what that is. The 30-90 rule to take the perfect nap. A little bit of science can help you wake up feeling alert, refreshed, rather than groggy and grumpy. I'm going to need that. So this is, oops. This is from INC dot productivity top stories. Let's see. Naps, study after study tells us, are great for your memory, cognitive performance, physical health, and all around productivity. That makes sense. It really, and even B&H is telling me about Sigma's 50 millimeter 1.4 lens. I guess if I see enough of it, I'm going to need one. So why, when you take one, do you often wake up feeling logy, L-O-G-Y, and listless? If all scientists are right and naps are great for you, why do they often leave so many of us feeling bad? The answer to this might surprise you. Taking a good nap is actually harder than it first appears. Oh, they're really getting deep, talking about sleep cycles. I don't know if y'all can, or my attention span will allow this. NASA agrees with truckers. So let's see that's an oddly precise finding, but it's basically boils down to the 30 and the 90 rule. Handy Boston Globe summary of science puts it, naps of 90 to 120 minutes usually compromise all stages, including REM and deep slow wave sleep. Deep slow wave sleep. Okay, which helps clears your mind, improve memory and recall, recoup lost sleep. Oh, okay. So here it is. It's always at the bottom, right? The pertinent information, the good news, the things that you need to find after you go through all the rhetoric and the jargon. I guess that's the best way to read articles. Start at the first paragraph, go straight to the bottom. So if you find yourself dragging after your afternoon snoozes, the problem is not your nap, but your nap technique. For best results, heed the science and always set your alarm for either 30 minutes or less or 90 minutes or more. So they wanted us to read all of that to come back and say this. But I guess if you're a science guy and you need to know the intricate details, you would do that. But I actually like the articles that tell you how long the read is, because then it's going to tell me how much time I can invest in this situation. So isn't that weird how the world has... But I guess this is just my eyes, my perspective, my perception. Here's one that caught me, that has got me. A real way to stop police abuse. Let's see what they're saying. A real way to stop police abuse. Some people say there is no police abuse. I don't know how people can say that anymore. See, that's what I'm talking about. That old way of thinking. Police abuse happens on both sides. So I think we're all at the point now where we can agree that something has to be done. And of course, there's the intricacies of situations, and we can all get into that. And you need to behave, whatever, right? On and on and on. But people should not be getting beat to death. I think we can agree on that. That should be a total agreement. I'll say it one more time in case you missed it for the people in the back. People should not be getting beat to death. I mean, after all, some states don't even agree with capital punishment. Right? Come on now. Anyway. And then, of course, with what I just said, someone's going to find a way to be offended, right? It's just the world we live in. You can tell someone to have a blessed day. How can this day be good? All right, let's see if we can find this. Why the FBI's attempt to track police violence hasn't worked. There's all kind of stuff on this. We're running out of time. And of course we would run out of time here. Policing may attract applicants with propensities for violence. This might be the one. So, want to stop police abuse? Screen out the abusers, experts say. Policing may attract applicants with propensities for violence in the wake of Tyre Nichols' death. Let's see. I'm going to breeze over this really quick. Well, no. In the wake of Tyre Nichols' death, looks like I'm having an issue. I have to accept the cookies. I love cookies, so that shouldn't be a problem. In the wake of Tyre Nichols' death, that was pretty tragic. The Memphis police officers who repeatedly punched and kicked him, sprayed him with pepper spray, and tasered him. So I'm reading this. This is an article written by Stephen Riley, the investigative reporter. This was actually written on February 6th. Today is February 7th. I'm going to beat the F out of you, and joked about their brutality towards... I'm sorry, y'all. I'm getting ahead of myself in a little bit. It's hard not to kind of like let these things mess with you. In the wake of Tyre Nichols' death, the Memphis police officers who repeatedly punched and kicked him, sprayed him with pepper spray, and tasered him, shouted abuse like, "I'm going to beat the F out of you," and joked about their brutality afterwards, having been charged with murder and kidnapping and assault. Of the many questions raised after the release of the shocking video of Nichols' beating, a big one remained. How could people who would do something like this become police officers? That's a fantastic question. That is a fantastic question. Research has shown policing may attract applicants with propensities for violence. Several studies have suggested domestic violence abusers, for instance, tend to be overrepresented in police departments. Experts say most jurisdictions have failed to implement reforms that could help screen them out before they are hired. Those hiring might not catch everyone with a violent predisposition, even with the best screenings. But many police departments now aren't doing enough, experts say. That makes a lot of sense. So, I don't know what's the resolve, because who wants the job? The job is tough, right? So I guess it calls for a tough individual. Let's scroll to the bottom. Sounds like Steve Riley has a tough article on his hands. And we scroll to the bottom. And for the sake of the show, you can take a look at this yourself when you get a chance. The broad disparity among statewide mandates and the absence of any standards in 13 states is a serious impediment to national efforts to effectively screen out candidates who lack the psychological attributes necessary to safely and effectively perform the duties of a police officer, the paper notes. But that's funny, because that sounds like the entire world at this point, because everybody's off. You ever just scroll through Facebook? Scroll through Facebook. You'll see. The world is a very, very weird place at this time. Well, has it always been weird? Because now we can all get on there and just talk as if we're an authority over something. I laugh because here I am. I made my own show with YouTube. It doesn't cost me anything except a Samsung tablet from 1942 and a cup of coffee with the ironing board behind me and my closet door open. Okay, anyway, on January 28th, Democratic Tennessee state lawmakers announced plans to introduce legislation aimed at strengthening the state's psychological screening of potential law enforcement hires. We want to make sure that when you're hired, that you have had a psychological evaluation and you're suited for this job, and this job is suited to you. The Memphis Police Department did not respond to a request for comment. Yeah, it's kind of like welfare reform, all these other things, because everybody has a great idea, perception, thoughts, how things should and shouldn't go. And the more the world goes on, the more creative we get with our ideas, our perception, and what we think is or isn't right. But you ever have a conversation with someone and they're absolutely wrong, but they're so creative with what they're saying that you can't match wits with them? I guess that's me, because most people seem to be smarter than me. All right, y'all. This is the morning show. It's supposed to be 15 minutes. It's gone on longer than that. And I don't know which platform, which YouTube channel I'm going to put this on. But whichever one, chime in. Let me know. Talk to me. Haven't decided if I'm just going to really do this for shock value and really get people worked up and get viewers. But right now, we just here, baby. Hey, subscribe. I'll see you I'll see you tomorrow. If I can get up. Later.